Hey everyone, it's that Math Magician, and on this video, I'd like to discuss problem number 5 from our geometry assignment, and that says that Mr. Fudge is going to roll 2 fair dice. What is the probability that the sum will be 4 or less? So there are a couple of ways to approach this problem. Now, the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to actually make a table, and the table is going to show all of the different outcomes that I can have when I roll 2 dice. Now, another way that you could do this problem that you might at first want to try is that you might want to try and just list out all the possibilities into a list. And what that would look like is that you might go, okay, they can roll a 1 plus another 1, and that gives you a 2. And then you could go, well, 1 plus, what if he rolls a number 2? Well, that would give him a sum of 3. And you could continue this. And as you can see, that it becomes a bit cumbersome to work through this list because you're going to have to do this for every single possible outcome. So that's the list option. Now what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to create a table, because a table will actually organize our information a lot better for us. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create my table. Okay, I'm going to make this guy up here dice number 1. And the guy this side will be dice number 2. So it's a fair dice. And what a fair dice means is that every number on the dice has an equal chance of coming up. So there are 6 sides to a dice, so every number has a 1 in 6 chance of happening. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and list out all of the possibilities for dice number 1. Well, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to do the same thing for dice number 2, because dice number 2 is also a 6-sided dice where we have these 6 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draw in my black lines here to create my table. So on this table here, we can see all of the different possibilities when I roll 2 dice. Now you might be thinking that the first dice has 6 different outcomes, right? 1 through 6. And the second dice has 6 different outcomes. So you might think that of all the possible outcomes there are when I roll 2 dice, that we should just add these and we'll get 12 outcomes. But that's actually incorrect. Okay, there are more than 12 outcomes here. Okay, because each time I roll my first dice, the second dice has 6 different outcomes. So for each number on my first dice, I get 6 different outcomes for that number. So it's not going to be 6 plus 6, it ends up being 6 times 6. So there ends up being 36 different outcomes. And we want to find out how many of those outcomes are going to have a sum that'll be 4 or less. Sum just means adding, right? I take 2 dice, I roll them, I want to add the numbers together. So let's go ahead and fill this table out. If I roll a 1 and a 1, that gives me a 2. If I roll a 1 and a 2, that gives me 3. 1 and 3 gives me 4. We can start to see that there's sort of a pattern to this table, right? Now let's say with dice number 1, I roll a 2. And dice number 2, I roll a 1. That would give me 2 plus 1 is 3. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus 3 is 5. And again, we can see that this pattern starts to just go up by 1 as I move down. Okay, 3 plus 1 gives me 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to continue to fill out this table. 4 plus 1 gives me 5. 4 plus 2 is 6. Again, all of these numbers are going to keep increasing by 1 as I move down. 5 plus 1 gives me 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And the last column is 6 plus 1 gives me a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So my purple numbers here, purple or pink, I'm not really sure what color this is, but these purple numbers here are all of the possible outcomes, and there ends up being 36 different outcomes when you roll 2 dice. These are all the different combinations that you get. So now we're interested in what are the outcomes where the sum is 4 or less. So all I really need to do with this table now is just circle all of the numbers that are 4 or less. So I see that I get a 2 here, I have my 3s, I have the 4s, and the rest of the numbers are more than 4. So out of all the 36 possible outcomes, it looks like only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That the probability that the sum is 4 or less, it looks like that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 out of 36. And of course, we can reduce that to just become 1 over 6. Okay, I hope that helped clear it out, how this is a more effective way of listing all the possible outcomes. You could have stuck with the list option that I started the video with, but you would see that we'd have to have 36 entries in that list. It would be a very long list. So instead of that, I think it's better to organize our work into a table so that we can clearly see neatly all the different outcomes. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.